Hello everyone, it's Monday dinner time. I'm on my lunch and I've just come for a walk to give you an update from the Gill Cemetery. It's a bit noisy at the moment because we're next to the main road, so I'm just going to have a walk round to where it's quieter next to the car park and just have a look at what's going on. It's changing rapidly. Now that pub over there, 1885, that is the ship Isis. Lovely pub. And that was the last pub in Sunderland which used to hold inquests into deaths. And that was probably because originally it was opposite this particular cemetery, and there was also a dead house or a mortuary on the site in the old cemetery chapel there. Back in the day, most inquests were always held in public houses, and the reason was because most of them tended to have like a bar or a lounge where they could lay the body out and fit any journalists in, and the coroner and the jury. So this is the Gill Cemetery, and it's probably the place which got me most into Sunderland history about 5 or 6 years ago. It's the busiest I've ever seen it with workers. It's going to be turned into a park and some urban gardens. I can actually see they've started planting some trees. They're laying out the paths at the moment. It looks like it's going to have some ponds. And we're right next to, I know it gets a lot of criticism, this car park, but it's absolutely stunning. So because I work nearby, I always come across and keep an eye on the site and see what's happening. Just a little bit of background. Some of you already know this if you watch my previous videos or read some of the stuff I've written on Facebook. But this is the Gill Cemetery, or it used to be also known as Rector's Gill Cemetery, Galley's Gill Cemetery, Gilbridge Cemetery. And for a period in the mid-1850s, this was the main cemetery for Bishopwearmouth. There it is. It's quite a large site, stretches from over Silksworth Road all the way into that corner underneath that crane. And there's no exact figures for how many people are buried here, because Sunderland Minster, which used to be Bishopwearmouth Parish Church, is just in the distance. So it was quite handy. The church already owned this land, so the Duke Wellington's brother decided the town of Bishopwearmouth could have this as a new burial ground. So it opened in 1839, it closed May 1856, but at the church the burial records never specified which particular graveyard the burial took place in, because there was a churchyard, there was a cemetery at Hine Street, which is just behind Low Row, but there was also this place for a period as well. But pretty much the churchyard closed, it was 1848. So from then up till 1856, everybody who was buried through the church would have been buried here, plus there was a few thousand from 1839 up to 1848 here as well. But I reckon there's at least 5,000, possibly up to 10,000. We'll never ever know. We do know some famous people who were buried here, because it was mentioned in the newspapers, and also in other cemeteries around Sunderland there's mentions on headstones of loved ones who were buried here. So you have a pretty good idea of some of the people who are buried here. My favourite is my favourite artist, John Wilson Eubank. He was buried here as a pauper. It was it 1847 or 1849, one of the two. He was buried here. So I just thought I'd give you a little look around, see where we are. This is the road down to Galley's Gill, which the brand new bridge is at the bottom of here, linking the old Vaux Brewery site across to Sheepsfold. I did see a fox just down there last week, and there's loads of rabbits here. And there's even some ducks here as well the other week. So where that digger is and that excavator over there, close to that, that's where the actual vaults were. There was 24 vaults, and where that gentleman is over there, that's where roughly where the cemetery chapel was. They didn't come across any remains while they were building this particular park and excavating, simply because the cemetery level is so far down. Over the last 150 odd years it was filled in, the level was raised, the vaults were covered up. It's had everything, this place: playground, air raid shelters during World War II. But I have created a Facebook group called the Gill Cemetery, which does go into the history of this site with pictures and from the past, the present, and some of the details of people who are buried here. Hopefully one day there will be some sort of mention at the site of its history, because last year the last few headstones that were standing against that wall were buried close to the wall over there forever. I'd misheard what the construction company, when I went to a meeting, what they planned to do. I thought it was just temporarily going to be buried until the infirmary, but they would have made a great feature of this new park. You'd think that one day you'd have a blue plaque or something, or an information board, because there is no way that unless you knew about its history, you would never have guessed that there was a large cemetery here. There is one of the gate posts still standing over towards the Premier Inn at Thornton Place, because the cemetery extended out as far as that, but it's part of it was taken by that road where you can see in the distance. Other people who are buried here. We've got I think there's 5 men who died in the Bishopwearmouth ironwork explosion of 1845. They were buried here. There was about 50 odd cholera victims of the 1849 epidemic in Bishopwearmouth, and they are buried here. There's also 2 gentlemen who fell about 200 foot from a chimney at one of the bottle factories down in Deptford, and they'd gone up but sadly tipped over, and they were hanging on, but they dropped off. Just to mention, the area we're in now was actually once Bishopwearmouth. It's still Bishopwearmouth, but everything's classed as Sunderland now. But back in the day, Sunderland, the edge of Sunderland was about a mile away, which was the East End, and Bishopwearmouth was its own town. Pretty much what you would class as the centre of the city of Sunderland, that was Bishopwearmouth. So Sunderland at this time, down the East End, that had the parish churchyard, which is Holy Trinity, or something that's known as like 1719 now, the church. Monkwearmouth had Monkwearmouth Parish Church, which was St Peter's, and Bishopwearmouth had what is now the Minster just over the distance, so it wasn't too far away, and I think it was the closest available land to the church. Plus they wouldn't have had to pay anything because they owned it already. Another windy day in sun today. So I think this is due to be finished in around August this year. But I'm not too sure if you'll be able to get down towards the river, because there's going to be lots of construction work on these houses being built down there, and you've still got the new bridge, which is currently in the process of having final touches put to it. Just to give you some idea where we are, you might be able to see the Stadium of Light across the river, that building with a crane. That's going to be the new Eye Infirmary. It's a fine building. This skyline has changed so much. And then just over there is the centre of Sunderland, and the Empire Theatre is just behind that big building there. But that's a good view of the award-winning car park. I hadn't noticed till a few months back with actually an eye up there. You get some good views at the top if you ever come to visit. But in summer, this is a lovely spot because it's like a sun trap. But also, I just want to thank everybody who's recently watched some of the videos. It is appreciated. I know some of the stuff is a little bit heavy, but it's all history. It's about, a lot of it's about forgotten people and their story and so on. I've got a few videos to do in the next couple of weeks. I do need to go and do that Pennywell mass grave one again, but just haven't been able to get up at 6 o'clock to go up there and do it before anybody's around. I've got one to do about the last journey of John Wilson Eubank and his story, which is a sad story, and this is where he is buried in an unmarked grave. If you Google him and look at some of his work, absolutely stunning, brilliant artist. And there'll probably be some other cemetery stuff, bits and pieces. Hopefully the weather gets better, because it's always windy, spitting on, miserable, and everything looks better on the camera when there's blue skies. So thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy that, please give it a like and click on the subscribe. Helps grow the channel. But I'll just give you one last look over there. And this is the Gill Cemetery, one of Sunderland's most historic places, but there's absolutely nothing here. So hopefully we can get that changed if more people are aware of this particular place and getting interested in it. As I said, the Facebook group, the Gill Cemetery, if you want to have a look at some old pictures of what it looked like in the past. So thanks very much, and I will see you next time, wherever that may be. Take care.